Hey guys, it's Cyclone here. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Hope you had a nice day with family and friends. I wanted to make this Hunter x Hunter discussion video because we are still in hiatus, and my goal is to continue to try and provide some fun discussion topics while we wait. The Reddit community is a pretty good place to get some topics of discussion. Look on the screen here. We have a article posted by the Water 15. And the Water 15 states, Netero Prime versus Pito. Oh, now I made a video about Old Man Netero versus the Royal Guard. You can go see that in my playlist. But I'm just going to go right out the gate before we get into a deeper discussion and analysis. Prime Netero has a chance of beating the Royal Guard. Absolutely. Do I see it 100% of the time? No. Do I see it being possible? Yes, I do think that Prime Netero, although this again is just a speculation, has a chance of beating a Royal Guard. On a high estimate, or based on what we have in the series, Netero was only about half his capability at the time he was fighting in the NGL saga and the Ant Arc. And so for me, it's kind of, it's a safe assumption that you increase his strength by about 50%. Yeah, he has a chance of beating a Royal Guard at that point. Absolutely. Really, for me, it's more about his stamina than his raw strength. Because again, his goal, because the Royal Guard are no slouches when it comes to speed either. They're not as fast as Meruem, but they're still going to be pretty quick. And if they can tank the hits, that's where the fight gets interesting because once again, just like with Meruem, Netero was keeping him back. Netero had to meet him blow for blow. And he couldn't damage him enough. So really, Netero was somewhat on the defensive. And as you saw, once Meruem started launching himself at Netero, Netero had to attack from basically what amounted to a stationary position. Whereas before, in the beginning of the fight, he was going airborne. You know what I mean? He was doing single blows that were really targeted and probably stronger. But when he's having to do the flurry attack, where he's attacking, thousands of times within a couple of minutes, he has to think more on his feet and less about raw power and more about accuracy and reading it properly. So arguably, that scenario weakens his overall blow-for-blow power. Imagine, and here's the same analogy, it's not very complicated, guys. If you do a haymaker, you put your whole back into it, your whole body, you twist your whole body, the haymaker is called a knockout blow, but you can't throw haymakers left and right over, many, many minutes. You're going to tire the hell out. It really hurts you. So, for Netero, those blows were more about speed and precision because he had to. Meruem kept charging his ass. And through time, he predicted the movements. He predicted the probability that Netero was going to use a hand. And through Gungi, he started to connect the dots and made assumptions that the right angle would work. Eventually, Meruem was able to predict the hand that would be used and dodged it. That's what he did. That's how he cut off two of Netero's limbs. Now, again, I give a chance to Prime Netero here. I'm not saying 100% of the time he wins or loses. I mean, I'd say this is really just a BS prediction, but I'd say 60% of the time he wins, 40% of the time he doesn't. I mean, something like that. I'll give a slight edge to him in most scenarios, but not all. That's kind of where I'm going to stick with on this discussion. Now, I want to go through. Oh, this is it is Star Platinum. Let's see. Netero was past his prime when he thrashed that cat bitch already. Okay, I know a fanboy when I see one. That's a fanboy. He didn't damage her one bit. Correct. He did not. In the palace invasion, he did not damage Pito at all. Not even a bruise. Not even a freaking bruise from a full aura blast from his hand. Nothing. Just, it was momentum. It wasn't damage. So, no. Oh, so why are these people? I gotta be quite frank, guys. Some fans do not think a lot about the the context and about the events that happen. Guess what? Meruem got struck with little notice. Look what happened. He took off 2 of his limbs. I mean, bro, this doesn't matter. If it doesn't damage her, it just is an inconvenience, right? But struck her with, so what? If I'm the fastest puncher in the world, but I can't damage you, I am useless. The only thing I'm doing is prolonging my demise. He wasn't even trying. The blow was like an afterthought to him. So the afterthought, he had to do a prayer. He had to extend the hand all the way out and then blast her with what really looked like an emitter attack, which was very fascinating. But it did no damage. No damage. Why would he use an attack that wasn't strong? You know what? This doesn't add any weight to the argument. This doesn't add any weight at all. I agree. What? Fanboys, man. Look, guys. Wearing down? No. He was getting irritated. He was getting annoyed. The slightest bits of dull pain. You know what dull pain is? Dull pain is when you wake up in the morning and you're a little bit stiff in your neck. That's what dull pain is. And that's after thousands of freaking Buddha punches and slaps hitting you in the face. And that's dull pain. Dude, the strength difference between these two characters is astronomical. And people just don't want to accept it. Old man Netero was fighting for his life. He had to use a nuke. The worst aspect of humanity, war and torment and suffering. He had to use that, not his nen. His nen wasn't his ultimate weapon. It was humanity's cruelty that took out the ants. That was the whole point and artistic description of that arc. It was that humanity's evil and horrendous treatment of itself would be far more dangerous than any ant could ever be. And that was the whole point of the arc. Gon had to resort to rage and anger and hatred. Netero had to resort to dictatorship war weapons and the cruelty of poison to beat the ants. Not Nen. Nen was, part of it, but not the end-all be-all. Humanity had to assist with its own cruelty. So this statement right here is absolutely false. The wearing down took thousands of hits. If Meruem, at the rate they were going, Meruem could have still been fighting if he somehow didn't crack the code and didn't get to Netero. He could still fight for probably hours. I mean, the description indicates he was getting a little sore. Okay. All right, a little sore. So what'll Meruem do? He get to go take a break. He could go jump away. He could stealth ambush Netero from behind. I don't know. People would act like the fight would be, like the ants would be so stupid to keep going at this guy. No, they would stop charging him and go relocate. They would go recuperate. Meanwhile, Netero would have to keep his stamina up somehow, which, I don't know. I mean, you see where this gets problematic? Do you see where this gets problematic, this argument? It doesn't add water. There's no weight to this argument. It's not there. No. False. Absolutely false. Nope. Again, speed doesn't mean shit if you can't damage him enough. I mean, I love Netero, is one of my favorite characters in the series, but I'm not blind enough to say that he is way more powerful than a royal guard. I mean, that is so childish, man. Read the text. Look at the story. Look what happens. All of the evidence points to Netero being below a royal guard in the invasion arc. I rest my case. I'm not trying to just say that Netero looks cool and his attack is cool. No, he just cannot withstand the duration of that fight. Yes, he will have the defensive edge for a period of time, but he can't, in my viewing of the series, it indicates the Royal Guard and the Ant King and the ants in general have just too much toughness. And people say that the Royal Guard have nowhere near the defensive capabilities of Meruem. I believe that to be true, but even in comparison, they're far beyond what Netero can destroy. I mean, geez. Pito survived Gon-san punching her in the face. Was incapacitated, but she survived. That punch right there, that Jajanken from adult Gon far surpasses by multitudes any attack that old man Netero could produce. Not even comparable. And that right there, people need to realize how adult Gon is the strongest human we will ever see in the series. It artistically represents the pinnacle of humanity, but only for like 1 minute. That was the whole point of that entire thing. That event was to show Gon's desperation and succumbing to rage and turmoil. He decided to unleash everything at once and forego his future, forego his friendships, everything else. He said, screw it, give me all the power now. And his nan said, yeah, here you go. And so, like, yes, that adult Gon overpowers every other human character in the series, period. There's not even a comparison. Netero isn't even a fifth as strong as adult Gon. I mean, we're talking way more powerful. That's the whole point of that instance. If you compare Meruem and adult Gon to old man Netero, he gets trashed. It's just that's not a debate. The only thing that Netero may have on adult Gon is that adult Gon is not an ant. His durability may not be as high. But even then, no. He's going to power through. If adult Gon, ready? If adult Gon did a high-speed Jajanken, which, by the way, he could do. He did it against Knuckle. So imagine adult Gon with a mobile Jajanken. If he punched one of Netero's Buddha arms back, he would blast the son of a bitch through the fucking wall. Okay? Adult Gon. This is the point, man. Adult Gon would power through Netero's blows more than likely with his own. And I rest my case, guys. I rest my case. This is a false statement. That is correct. And the people downvote this guy. Are you serious? Oh, fanboys, they drive me nuts. You guys have to look at the series and really analyze it. You gotta look at it. Sometimes the answer isn't what you want it to be. Like, for example, here's what's interesting, right? Like, I didn't love how, actually, I love almost everything about this series, but like, I felt like, for example, Biscuit's adult form should have decapitated the bomber. I forget his name. The Genthru's main guy. Biscuit knocked him into next week, but didn't kill him. And she was like, oh, you're still alive? Meanwhile, Biscuit to me is like a top 10 human Nen user. Like, and for me, that's unfortunate to see that she couldn't just blast this guy's head off. I mean, maybe it's more poetic, and that arc was kind of lighthearted in a sense, but I would have liked to see Biscuit just blow this guy's friggin' head off, which she easily could have done, but it didn't happen. Maybe she held back, who knows? But, you got to look at the series from what's given to you. And again, Netero is such a great character. It's so hard to root against him, but I'm going with what the series shows me, what Togashi wrote. I'm not a fanboy. You can't be a fanboy when you analyze text. You can't do it. If you want to make an actual argument, you got to take your fanboy goggles off. Like in One Piece, for example. Oh, Luffy's the greatest. No, he's not. I don't see him beating an admiral. No, forget about it. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got to look at the text. You got to do it, guys. And that's the whole point of these discussion videos. Now, again, I have to give you my thoughts on what's available to us. Some things are not written in paper. We don't know how strong Prime Netero was. We don't know if Adult Gon would one-shot, Old Man Netero, or if it would take hours. We don't know the durability feats. Like, these are topics we don't know. We can only go by what we're given. And that's it. Another discussion video down. This is kind of a part 2 to the video I did last year, but it goes a little bit more in depth into Adult Gon and the power scaling. And we're just talking about enhancement here. We're just talking about raw Nen power. We're not even talking about all the crazy manipulator abilities and, Sir Nick has time hacks. I mean, like, there are so many abilities that could open up that make certain characters stronger in different ways. Imagine a manipulation ability that was so powerful that you turn Adult Gon into a fucking child. You revert his Nen and age back to a child. Like, can you imagine if there's a manipulator who could do that? Manipulate Nen to the point of childhood. Like, the possibilities of Nen are so awesome, which is why we love this series. But again, this video is just talking about the raw aura output. And there it is. Adult Gon is the strongest human character ever, minus maybe Don Freaks, maybe Prime Netero. That's very arguable. And maybe Maha Zoldyck, again, very arguable. I think Adult Gon is the strongest human character we've ever seen and ever will see. And that was the whole point. That was the whole artistic point of that character's existence for one episode. Here it is. Here's the pinnacle of Nen power for a human. Bam. And there you go.